You know, boss, every time I sit here with my ginger ale I promise myself I will not open that short video app after I get home.
You sound like you already know that promise will not last very long tonight.
Exactly, I say one video and suddenly an entire hour is gone and I do not even remember half of what I watched.
So you feel as if the night has been picked clean, but you cannot point to anything that really stayed with you.
Yes, it feels like eating a big bag of candy from my brain and then feeling strangely empty afterward.
That is a very honest way to describe it, and I think a lot of people would nod along with you at this canter.
Is it really that serious though, or am I just being dramatic about losing a bit of time on my phone?
You are not being dramatic at all, and that feeling of time slipping away is actually a very important warning sign.
I used to think it was only about self-control, but lately it feels like something deeper is going on inside my head.
You have good instincts, because something deeper is going on, and it is tied to how your brain handles rewards.
All those videos are like little rewards lined up for me.
Exactly, and the key actor in that little drama is a chemical in your brain called dopamine, which responds strongly to rewards and surprises.
I hear people talk about dopamine all the time, but I am not sure what it really does beyond making me feel good.
Dopamine is less about pure pleasure and more about wanting and chasing, which means it makes you lean forward, pay attention, and look for the next thing.
So when I keep swiping for the next clip, it is not because the last one was amazing, but because my brain is hoping the next one might be.
That is right, and the hope of a better reward around the corner is one of the strongest levers you can pull inside a human brain.
That sounds a bit like a slot machine where you pull the lever again because maybe the next spin is the big one.
It is very similar, because sometimes the result is boring and sometimes it is exciting, and that mix keeps you coming back for more.
So the infinite scroll is like a digital lever that never runs out of spins.
Yes, instead of coins you spend minutes, instead of a big bell you get a clip that makes you laugh or win your attention for a moment.
No wonder it feels so hard to stop, because it feels as if stopping means walking away right before the jackpot.
Your brain is not broken, it is behaving exactly as it evolved to behave in an environment that is very different from the one it was built for.
I guess my ancestors did not have an endless comedy feed while they were hunting and gathering.
They had changing landscapes, occasional dangers, and rare pockets of reward, so the brain learned to pay close attention whenever something new might matter.
So the app is feeding that old system new snacks all night long.
Precisely, every swipe sets off a little question inside your brain that asks whether the next item might be important or delightful or shocking.
I notice that sometimes I swipe faster and faster when I feel restless, as if I am searching for some perfect clip that never arrives.
That restless feeling is the wanting system pushing you onward, while the satisfaction system never fully catches up.
That explains the weird mix of pleasure and frustration when I finally put the phone down.
It can feel like you have been drinking from a fire hose of stimulation without ever really quenching your deeper thirst.
Is that why focusing on anything slow afterwards feels almost impossible?
You might notice that after a long session of rapid clips, a quiet book or a slow conversation can feel strangely flat, at least at first.
Totally, I try to read and my mind keeps jumping like it is still swiping even though the page is not moving.
Your attention system has just spent half an hour dancing to very fast music, and it does not immediately switch to a slow waltz without protest.
So is my attention span getting shorter, or does it only feel that way?
The full truth is subtle, because research shows that heavy use of fast digital media is linked with more distractibility, but it also shows the context and habits matter a great deal.
So it is not that the phone magically destroys my brain, but the way I use it can train my attention into a certain pattern.
Exactly, the pattern is one where your mind expects frequent rewards, quick answers, and constant novelty.
That pattern is great when I am scrolling, but it is terrible when I need to sit with a problem or a feeling for more than a minute.
You have just described one of the core tensions of modern life, which is that many of our tools reward short bursts of attention, while many of our goals require long, steady focus.
I feel that at work when I have to write something complicated and I keep wanting to check my feed for a tiny hit of relief.
The short video becomes a tiny doorway out of discomfort, out of boredom, and out of uncertainty, and your brain quickly remembers where that doorway lies.
The scary part is that sometimes I open the app without even remembering that I decided to do it.
That is a sign that the behavior has become partly automatic, which means it is triggered by small cues like a pause in your work or a quiet moment alone.
So my thumb and my dopamine system are conspiring behind my back.
They're working from the same script, and that script says that any moment of stillness is a chance to chase a new reward.
How does this affect the way we think about real life? Because sometimes my own life feels slower and smaller compared to the clips I watch.
When your brain is used to constant highlights, ordinary moments can feel muted, so your baseline for excitement quietly creeps upward.
Then regular conversations feel too slow and small problems feel like they need extra drama just to register.
Yes, and there is another layer, which is that your feed often shows the brightest slices of many lives without the quiet or messy parts.
I know those short videos are edited, but emotionally I still compare my raw everyday life to their polished moments.
That constant comparison can push you toward feeling behind, not enough, or invisible without you noticing the shift.
Sometimes I even judge my relationships by whether they feel as exciting as what I see online.
That is a heavy standard because real relationships are built out of many quiet hours, small compromises, and shared routines that rarely go viral.
When I am out with friends, I catch myself reaching for my phone in tiny gaps in the conversation.
In those gaps, you may feel a small tug that says, the feed can fill this silence more quickly than the person next to you can.
It feels awful when I realize I am halfway listening to a friend and halfway chasing clips.
Many people share that shame, and it is useful to notice that the design of these tools nudges you in that direction rather than assuming it is only a personal flaw.
So it is not just about me being weak, but also about the way the apps are built around my weak points.
Precisely. Companies invest a great deal of effort to keep you engaged because your attention pays for the lights to stay on.
I forget that every extra minute I scroll is worth something to someone on the other side of the screen.
Your time fuels advertising, data, and influence, so it is no accident that the system quietly resists letting you go.
That sounds almost like sitting at a table with invisible designers who keep moving the exit sign farther away.
It is a good image because the more seamless and endless the experience feels, the less likely you are to decide that you are done for the night.
Then why do I also feel like I need these apps? Because they teach me things and connect me to people I would never meet.
That is another important truth because short videos can share skills, stories, and voices that might otherwise be hidden from you.
I have learned recipes, study tips, and even emotional advice from strangers in 10 seconds.
There is real value in that, and many people find comfort, representation, and community through those small windows of video.
So the problem is not the medium itself, but the way I let it run my schedule and mood.
You could say that the challenge is not that the tool exists, but that it is so often set to default levels that suit the platform more than they suit you.
That makes me wonder if it is possible to enjoy short videos without letting them rewrite my whole brain and social life.
It is possible, but it usually requires more intention and a few practical tricks than the default environment gives you.
I like the sound of practical tricks because vague advice like use your phone less never helps me.
Then let us speak in concrete terms and shape a few experiments you can try when you leave the salon tonight.
Great, I am all ears while my ginger ale is still cold.
First, notice that infinite scroll hides the stopping point, so one simple trick is to create your own stopping points before you even open the app.
Do you mean something like telling myself I will stop at a certain time?
Yes, but it works even better if that time is marked by something physical or visual, like a timer you can see or a playlist with a clear end.
So instead of an endless sea, I give myself a little pool to swim in.
Exactly. For example, you could decide that you only watch during one song, and when the song ends, that session is over.
I like that image because music has a clear start and finish, so it frames the whole scroll.
Another experiment is to change the first thing you do when you feel the urge to open the app.
That urge usually shows up when I feel stuck or awkward or tired.
Next time you notice that feeling, pause and ask yourself a very short question, such as what am I actually needing right now?
That question might reveal that I want rest or company or inspiration rather than just more clips.
Once you know the real need, you can choose a response that fits it better, such as stretching, messaging a friend, or taking a short walk.
It sounds small, but I can see how that breaks the automatic dance between discomfort and the app.
Exactly, it turns a reflex into a choice, and that is where your power lies.
What about when I am with people, because that is when I feel the most guilty about scrolling?
You could agree with yourself to keep your phone out of your hand during shared meals or conversations so that it takes effort to reach for it.
So the default becomes presence with the person instead of presence with the feed.
Yes, and you can even make a little game with friends where you keep all the phones away until after you finish a story or a topic.
I can imagine us laughing about who grabs their phone first and turning it into a joke instead of a secret shame.
Humor is a great ally when you change habits because it keeps the experiment light even when you slip.
Speaking of slipping, what should I do when I fail my own rules and binge scroll again?
First, notice that failure is part of learning, then gently ask what you can change in the environment rather than in your worth as a person.
Maybe I will move the most tempting apps away from my home screen so that I have a small pause before I open them.
That small pause is like putting a cushion between the urge and the action, which can be just enough space for a wiser choice.
I like the idea that I'm redesigning my little digital room rather than fighting a war with myself.
That is a helpful way to see it because you're working with your brain instead of calling it the enemy.
Still, if these apps can change my attention and feelings so much, is it fair to say they are rewiring my brain?
It is fair to say that habits repeatedly practiced, including digital ones, shape the connections in your brain, but that same brain can also change again when your habits change.
So nothing is frozen, it is more like a path in a field that gets stronger when I walk it and softer when I stop using it.
That is a very clear picture because every evening you choose which paths your mind walks through the field of your attention.
I had never thought of my feed as a landscape I am carving with my choices.
When you put it that way, each swipe is a small vote for the kind of mind and life you are building over time.
That makes my nightly scrolling sound a lot more important than a silly habit.
It is still important to keep some lightness around it, but yes, those tiny choices add up just like tiny savings do in a bank.
I love that, because it means I can start investing my attention in better ways even if I begin with very small steps.
You might experiment with replacing one short session of random clips with a longer piece of content that you really care about, such as a deep conversation, an essay, or a thoughtful video.
So I still use screens, but in a way that leaves a stronger aftertaste in my memory.
Exactly, you'll notice that meaningful content often stays with you the next day, while many random clips fade before you even brush your teeth.
That is true. I rarely remember more than one or two things from a long scrolling session.
Your brain tends to keep what connects to your values, your questions, and your real life rather than what merely filled a few seconds.
So if I ask better questions when I open my phone, I might end up with better memories when I close it.
That is a powerful idea because curiosity can guide you toward content that feeds you instead of just feeding on you.
I like thinking of curiosity as a compass rather than a magnet for random noise.
Curiosity is at its best when it leads you toward understanding, connection, and growth, not just toward the next flashing light.
Do you think this whole short video culture is changing how we relate to each other in the long run?
It is already changing many small moments, which over years can influence how comfortable we are with silence, depth, and being fully present.
Sometimes I worry we are all together at the same table, but half of us are somewhere else in our minds.
That worry is understandable, yet it can also be a prompt to become the person who gently invites others back into the room with your full attention.
So instead of complaining about everyone scrolling, I can model what it looks like to be really here.
Yes, and you might be surprised how much people soften when they feel someone is truly listening without a screen between them.
I feel that here with you, I forget about my phone when I'm talking at this counter.
The jazz, the warm light, and your ginger ale all help, but the real magic is that you're engaged in a living conversation that answers your real questions.
I wish I could bring this kind of presence with me when I walk out the door.
You can if you treat your everyday life as worthy of the same attention you give to your favorite clips.
That means looking at my own thoughts and relationships as content worth noticing.
Exactly, your mind is not just a stage for other people, it is also the studio where your own life is being directed every day.
You always make these things feel less scary and more like an adventure I can actually walk through.
That is kind of you to say, and remember that curiosity is your ally, not your enemy, as long as you keep one hand on the steering wheel.
So tonight, when I get home and feel that itch to scroll, maybe I will pause and ask what kind of path I want to deepen in my mind.
That single pause can be the doorway to a very different evening, even if you still decide to watch a few clips afterward.
I feel strangely hopeful now because it does not sound like I have to delete everything, just change how I dance with it.
Exactly. This is not about exile from the digital world, but about learning to move with more rhythm and choice.
Thank you, boss. You always take my chaotic worries and turn them into something I can actually understand.
Thank you for trusting me with those worries. They are the kind of questions that make nights at this counter worth staying open for.
I should probably finish my ginger ale and head home before I talk myself into another round.
That sounds wise, and I hope the walk home feels a little lighter tonight with these ideas in your pocket.
It does already, and I will try to remember that every swipe is a small vote for the kind of mind I want.
That is a beautiful way to carry it, and the door is always open when you want to talk again.
Good night, boss, and thank you for the calm in the middle of all that digital noise.
Good night, Claire, and may your curiosity lead you to rest as often as it leads you to screens.
All right, it is getting late and I should probably head home now before I turn into a pumpkin. Wait a second, I just reached for my bag and realized I left my wallet on my desk at home, and that is a bit of a problem. So, this is awkward, but since I forgot my wallet, would you mind treating me to this ginger ale, you, the person sitting quietly next to me at the counter? I know you have been listening to our whole conversation tonight, and if any part of it helped you even a little, I would be so grateful if you could say yes. If you are willing, you can cover my ginger ale and support this little salon through the QR code at the bottom right of the video or the link in the video description. While you are there, it would mean a lot if you also tap like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about what part stayed with you. In that same link you will also find other works from a completely different series that you can explore when you feel like wandering a bit more. Thank you so much for keeping me company tonight. Take good care of yourself on your way out, and I hope we meet again here at the counter very soon.